Welcome to Pod Bless Texas. I'm Kendall Scudder here at the Pod Bless Texas World Headquarters in Dallas, Texas. Welcome back, fam. We're glad to have you in this, what feels like the 80th week of the Ken Paxton trial. Excited to be here. I've got some great friends here with me today. Actually, both of whom you know. One you know from Pod Bless Texas. You also may know him from just about everywhere else. The gay socialite, the Dallas socialite, the Brickell socialite, the $1 million decorator alumnus, ladies and gentlemen, Lorenzo Buttram Hubbard.
Hello there.
Welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
We also have on our show today someone that you're probably pretty familiar with. She was the sheriff in Dallas County for 13 years. Pretty much universally acclaimed as a fantastic sheriff who transformed the jails in Dallas County. In 2018, she was nominated for governor of Texas and ran alongside Beto O'Rourke, got millions of votes around the state, but we had several races that were not successful in 2018, including mine. And now she is going back for another bite at the apple and running to get back her old job as sheriff of Dallas County. Lupe Valdez, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here with two wonderful men.
Thank you.
I have my days. It depends. So, Lorenzo, haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been since the Pod Bless Texas break?
Well, we had a lot happen since the break.
Oh, like COVID and everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
COVID and ice storms and all of that. I have been a lot of places because I've had a lot of clients in different places, between the great place of Oklahoma. I went there.
Notice that there was just complete silence.
So I designed
Our neighbor to the north.
Yes, I designed a hotel and a few nightclubs in Oklahoma. I also have clients now in Alabama.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All the places people want to go. Are you going to be able to design them in a way that people will actually want to be there?
Well, it's funny because so many places here in the South are now getting a huge influx of people from the West Coast and the North that are actually designing things in those cities or in major cities inside of those states. So what used to look like a fabulous place 10 years ago is totally different than what's fabulous today.
Okay.
I just like to say that.
Well, that's great.
So that means they have to hire you every decade. Is that what you're trying to say?
They do that anyway.
Of course they do.
They do that
anyway. You on
anyway.
retainer.
Yeah, they do that anyway. Yeah, especially in the commercial industry. Residential, not so much. They'll keep the same house once for a long time.
That's so funny. Sheriff Valdez.
Yes, sir.
Where have you been since 2018?
Oh my goodness.
What have you been doing?
I work part-time for DeSoto Police right now.
Okay.
So I do 3 days a week with them. I also have another part-time job with properties and trying to make earth fit into a lot of properties a lot better. And I'm on a couple of charity boards. I don't sit still.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think a body in motion stays in motion. I'm in my 70s, and most people guess me in my 50s. So, and I think that's because I continually do things at the same time while you're serving. I think I have a servant leader's heart. And so whatever I do is going to be something positive, something good, something progressive.
That's great. And you were a very progressive candidate. I don't think that was anybody's complaint when you were running for governor, right? I mean, you've always been a progressive champion on a lot of great issues. I
think what I like to say is I'm the one who looks forward, whether it be progressive or conservative or middle of the road. I'm the one who looks forward to something to do better.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue doing that. One of my friends would always say, you're in your 70s, I think you're going to die on a tractor that just keeps going. You'll have no more motion, but the tractor's just going to keep going because you're just so stopped.
So, that's great. I mean,
I love that.
Well, and it's pretty, I guess here's the question I think everybody's asking, like, what makes you want to jump back in and run for sheriff again? You did it for 13 years. It seems that you stepped away from that to run for governor, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you're coming back. Why? What is sparking you to come back and not just enjoy retirement?
2 years after I had retired, I ran into several officers who kept saying, you know, there's things not going right. You need to come back. You need to continue to fix this. And I would always say, it's just different management. You know, you'll get used to it. It's different management. And it continued coming and continued coming. And some of the things they would tell me didn't seem right. I started looking into a couple of things. One of the things I have currently with me is that 9 months after I left, the jail failed inspection. It had been passing inspection since we got it going. When I first got in there, it was a mess, and it took us a while with the help of a whole group of organizations and people. We got it back where it was supposed to be, and it stayed that way for the next 5 to 6 years. I left 9 months later. It failed inspection.
So for people who are not, I am the only non-cop sitting here right now, right? A lot of people are surprised to know that about Lorenzo. So for someone like me, a layman who's not a cop, what is, when you pass inspection, who's inspecting?
It's the Texas Commission on Jail Standards is the one who inspects the jails, which is, you know, a typical Texas. They force the jails to meet certain standards, but the state will not meet the same standards. Right. It's so typical Texas. We have to have air conditioning in all the jails. The state does not. And there's a whole bunch of standards that you have to pass as a county that the state does not. But to say that, for instance, we have the 7th largest jail in the United States. And I usually tell people, can you imagine a toilet that is flushed 24 hours a day? It's gonna get messed up. So you constantly have to have somebody behind just coming up and fixing that one. Then the one on the next tank, that one's messed up. And when the jail commission comes through, they check every single one of them. And they give you, because they know that it can mess up in less than half an hour, they give you time to fix it. But if it's something major that has been ignored for several months, you're not going to be able to fix it that quickly. So you have to stay on top of things. You have to stay on the maintenance, on the doors. The locks get messed up. The inmates mess with them.
You know, people don't really think about how much a sheriff is a property manager too.
They use I do. They used to call me the mayor of the 7th largest jail of the United States, because water flow, sewer, meals, mail, money, all of that goes into this little city. Yeah. And it has between 5,000 to 7,000 people in that city. So you have to do including medical, all of that has to be taken care of. If you're not on top of it, it's not going to pass.
Wow.
You have to stay on top of every one of those little single things.
I have to say, when you're in a blue, like bright blue place like Dallas County, it is a little scary to think that our Dallas County judge, or our Dallas County jail would have failed inspection by Texas standards, right?
Because but the standards for the jail are not the same as the standards for the prison. And here I will have to explain jail and prison.
Right.
Jail is usually a place where people are waiting for something, waiting for probation, waiting for trial, waiting to be sentenced, waiting for a court date, waiting. Once you are found guilty, then the prison system comes in. They're sent to prison. One of the issues they're having right now is that Texas is not taking the mentally ill, and I suspect the people going to prison, so they leave them there. And so the jail gets fuller. There's steps you can take for that too. But and some of those are not being taken.
Yeah.
So you end up, the alarm should have happened long time ago. If you're keeping a day-to-day maintenance procedure, looking at things, the alarm should have gone on a long time ago. It's just going on now saying it's 95, 98% full. That should have happened. That alarm should have gone on when it was about 85% full.
Oof. I mean, that's scary stuff, Lorenzo. When you were serving, as a first responder, right?
Yes.
You weren't
with
in
those
Texas.
beautiful nails.
I didn't. I would have, but I did not.
They were not uniform. What state
Exactly.
were you in again? It wasn't Texas.
It was Michigan, Detroit, the city of Detroit.
That's a tough place to be a cop.
It was, and I'm someone because I was a second generation legacy hire. So my grandfather and my mother were both law enforcement officers, and my mother was head of the academy when I was there.
I love it.
So it was huge to have, like, you can imagine what it's like going through the academy and your mother's head of defensive.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, every time I would get to the front, like they would have the lines where you would have to go through defensive tactics. I would pick the line where my mother wasn't. And then and she would switch as soon as I got to the front of the line. So I think that as a law enforcement officer, I know what it's like to go through. And coming from a law enforcement family, I know what it's like to walk a beat. I know what it's like to work patrol. I know what it's like to be in a bureau, vice, narcotics. My mother and my grandfather did not want me to be one of those legacy hires that went straight to a bureau from the academy.
Sure.
Which that's an option. If you have a mother who's ranked, a grandfather who's ranked, many leave the academy and you end up being part of the mayor's security, or you end up being in internal affairs or something.
Lorenzo, sounds pretty good.
But I really value those experiences.
Yes.
Because I can sit next to, can I call you Lupe?
Yes.
Okay. I can sit next
Just
to
don't call
Lupe.
me a dirty name. We're
Yeah.
fine.
We're Democrats from
I
Texas.
promise.
We've been called worse.
Yeah, if I call you a dirty name, it'll be in Spanish. But
And I'll understand.
you'll understand. But I know what it's like to actually encounter the people who end up where she now has control of them. And my job many times was to diffuse the situation because I didn't want to send young people to jail unnecessarily. That was ridiculous for me. Now, if somebody deserved to be there, that's where they were going. But I also know that every state has different conditions when it comes to how they maintain their jails. We just saw that with Orange Pumpkinhead when he got when he was arrested. And I'm sorry, that smile just happened naturally. I'm sorry, I don't know why that happened. So,
did you know that the guy that took his mugshot's name was Brandon?
Was what?
Brandon.
really?
You know the Let's Go Brandon stuff? The guy that his mugshot's name was.
I don't know what the Let's Go Brandon
I don't either.
is.
You don't know what that is?
No.
Okay, well, I was making a joke. It actually wasn't that, but
You
it
know,
sounds
it's
like
awful
it could be
when
true.
when you don't understand the button of the joke. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so really, have you not seen literally on like Gaston Road that big Let's Go Brandon? There's a bunch of Let's Go Brandon. So there was like a NASCAR race. This was like a year or so ago, and there was a guy who's a driver whose name was Brandon, and he had won, and everybody was chanting F Joe Biden in the stands because the camera was on.
Okay.
And the reporter instead said, "See, they're all cheering. Let's go, Brandon. They're cheering." And so like mishearing it or whatever.
Okay.
So now Republicans have this ongoing joke that they do on everything. They have bumper stickers. They have shirts. It's "Let's go, Brandon." Whoa. And it's their way of saying F Joe Biden.
Okay. Well,
Oh.
it's a Republican, so I don't understand any of it.
I am very proud of you two for consuming no conservative news for the last 4 years.
I try to figure out what's going on both sides, but I don't saturate myself with it.
Good for y'all. I
Yeah.
wish I didn't know about it. I'm sorry I had to explain.
My television don't
Okay,
even
well-
stop on those channels.
Well, not all jokes land. Sorry, guys. Moving on.
Oh, that's
Well,
hysterical.
we learned something.
We did. Yeah. Now every time I
Very
meet someone
valuable.
named Brandon,
I know that's
I'm just
going to be
gonna
an
start
issue.
laughing.
Poor Brandon.
I swear I didn't dream that or make that up. I'm shocked y'all didn't know that.
Did not.
Listeners, you know this is a thing too. Comment on the video and tell them it's
We're going to Google that in a little while.
So
I would like to ask a question, because one of the things you just touched on, and many people, the first thing they think about when they think about jail or prison is safety.
Yes.
And what were the conditions? Because I know that I read there were, for many years before you took over the sheriff, the Dallas could not, the jail did not pass inspection.
Not only. Go ahead.
And so I guess the second part of my question was, what were the incidents when violence inside the jail, and did that get better when you were there as well?
Of course it got better. But what I need to tell you is, nobody will say it to my face, but other people hear it and come and tell me. It was customary for anybody to get arrested and come to jail would get beat up.
Wow.
And I heard from other sheriffs in other counties that the inmates who were being transferred over here would say to them, please, let me do my time here. Because if I go to Dallas, they're going to beat me up.
Okay.
So one of the first things I did was put up cameras. And I did let go of several, I call them pre-Trumpers. They were called good old boys back then.
Oh, well, I work with some of those.
Yes. And so, and I put up cameras because I knew there was beatings. And we let go of a few of them. One of them challenged us in court, in federal court. And I kept thinking, what in the world could they challenge us on? The challenge was common procedure. It was common, so why couldn't they continue it?
That's outrageous.
It was outrageous. It was outrageous. And some of the things that I had to go through in the beginning, I never discussed because I didn't want anybody to think of that department so badly. And there was stuff they took away, especially from the undocumented and people who wouldn't talk. They took away cars, they took away money. And when I started putting up cameras, we caught a lot of this. And so I would fire them. The safety came afterwards. One of the other things is we started caring about the mentally ill. I was not aware of some of the stuff till I started fixing it. One of the deputies who had been there for a long time, the inmates who were mentally ill were on the 9th floor, 8th or 9th floor. And she said you could come in on the 1st floor and smell it because the mentally ill have a fascination with their bodily functions.
Right.
So they would do their procedures and smear it all over the wall and throw it at the officer. So nobody wanted to go near them. So nobody wanted to clean it up. So when I came in, thank you, Parkland, and a couple of other situations that we joined together. And it was always done as a team. You know, everybody credits me for all the work that was done. I was leading a lot of the teams, but it was team effort. It was Parkland. It was the commissioners. It was maintenance. It was the courts. It was a lot of us together. And this is one of the things I hear that is not happening anymore. There's no teamwork. And anyway, so we took that process on, and we literally had to wash the walls and strip them and then paint them again because the smell needed to go away.
I mean.
And the smell is not there. Well, it wasn't there 6 years ago. I don't know what's going on now. I hear a lot of bad reports from the officers and from people that are saying, we need to get back and fix this, you know, but, and so we cleaned up all of that. And Parkland came in and started having team group meetings with the mentally ill to where they would be able to function a lot better. It got to the point where they were doing artwork, and there was some beautiful artwork that was done by the mentally ill. They always seemed to have some kind of side talent. And the artwork and the singing, we used to have choirs with the mentally ill singing. I have no doubt that that does not exist anymore. And we used to have artwork by the inmates. We couldn't sell it, so we just displayed it all over, and it was beautiful. You could it was unbelievable. I would walk up and say, "An inmate did this?" And they go, "Yes, ma'am, an inmate did this." It was just beautiful. And that was displayed all over the lobby and everywhere.
I just find you to be such a fascinating person because not only, did you take that position and just do some just remarkable reforms that, again, I said this earlier, I'll say it again. Democrats, Republicans, no one argues that you were a great sheriff. And that's just not even debatable, right? You gave it all up on just a collision course. Like, why did you run for governor in 2018?
As a team, we had done so much good. And every time I turned around, he was going against somebody. He was the African American. He was going against them, not publicly, but there was things happening. The voting rights. You can't do the what was the buses for voting, and he stopped all of that. And then he went against the LGBT, and then he went against the school teachers, and then he went against the transgender. I'm sitting there going, if I don't do something, that's going against is not going to stop.
So part of it was like a post-Trump angst of like, I've got to do something.
We've got to do something. We can't just sit here. And they told me several times, you're going to lose. I said, yes, but we're going to change something. It's not going to stay like this. We're going to get somebody's attention and we're going to change something. I had several things going that later I found out he put into practice.
Wow.
So when I tell myself, why did you do this? You left a good situation because I wanted to make a difference, and I still hoped that Texas would wake up and say, let's stop all this hate. Because it was basically a lot of hate on hate on hate. If it wasn't the undocumented, it was the voting. If it wasn't the voting, it was LGBT. I think one of the neatest things that I ever heard is some big, hairy gay man coming up to me and saying, I knew that if you got in office, you would do nothing to hurt me. And that was so meaningful to me. And I could say that to the African American, to the Asian, to the Muslim, to the Hispanic, to anybody. We're not going to do anything intentionally to hurt you. We're not going to put up any big old balls or floating balls or wire that will cut you. We're going to find a way to do this, but it's not going to be in a way that it's going to hurt you. Let's stop the hate and then find the solution. That's what I did in the department. That's what I wanted to do for Texas. It wasn't possible, but that doesn't stop you from trying. You just keep working at it till something is stopped.
Yeah. And then the results came in. I've not seen you talk about that publicly before. I think in 2018, I was on the ballot in 2018, right? I mean, everybody was just thought the possibilities were just endless in 2018. Ended up having some huge gains in the legislature, but kind of, the rest of us didn't really get there. And so where were you on election night in 2018 and what was your mindset?
We were in Austin and it was extremely disappointing. I had a pretty large staff, and a couple of them were in tears, and I said, "You got to stop this because I've got to come out with a good face, So you all have to stop this." So and it was extremely disappointing, but a lot of it seems, and I don't know how to diplomatically say this.
You don't have to. We're not live. You can say fuck if you want to. You can say whatever you want to.
That's not who I am. And I'm usually polite to everybody, even my opponents. But it seems that the Latino thing never comes out till past the primary. And then the aunts and the uncles and the mother-in-law and the wife come out. but not before the primary on his side, on Governor Abbott's side.
Oh, right.
And then after the primary, a lot of people said to me, I think he hides them before the primary. And then after the primary, they come out, especially in South Texas.
And you're talking about like his family members that
Yes.
you're saying that he uses to pander in
And
elections.
oftentimes somebody would say to me, where do you see them before the primary? Where do you see them after everything has been won? But I am also one of these people, and call me whatever, call me eternal optimist, but I'm also one of these people that believe that eventually either karma, harmony, God, whatever says enough. You've done enough damage. When I was a federal agent, and I was a federal agent for 20-something years, I would always say, I think at some point, God says to these criminals, you've done enough harm, enough. And I want to be right there when that moment happens. And I'll put the handcuffs on. And that's what I wanted to do with Texas. I wanted to see if at that point, it would be an enough point, and I was going to be right there.
I just have huge admiration, regardless of how anyone feels about, the gubernatorial run, about 2018, about you coming back, huge admiration for this kind of Texas spirit of, I'm going to get up, I'm going to fight like hell, and if I fall off my horse, I'm going to hop back on it, and I'm going to keep on slugging.
And you know what? I may fall off and break a leg. I may fall off and break a leg. Then you wrap the leg and you jump up.
I mean, you're tough.
But it's I guess I'm just tenacious or something.
Yeah, resilient.
Right?
Resilient.
Yeah.
I'm the 8th child of migrant workers. I was in the field when I was 3 years old, and there's pictures of me picking string beans. So I think a lot of that came from no matter what happened, at 4:00 in the morning, you had to be up and go out to those rows and start picking, cold, hot, you're out there. And I think a lot of that comes from that tenacity, that resilience comes from, I had to fight when I was just growing up. And I had to fight to go to college. I had to fight. I know you've seen the video that's on my website, Small Things. I had to fight to go to a school that would teach me enough to go to college. So all of that, it's like, no, we're not going to stop now. Okay, we're now going for the county and then the state, and we'll just keep going to continue to make things the way they need to be for the average person to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's very admirable. And I think Dallas County's lucky to have you, for sure. Right quick, I need to take a quick little ad break. Today's episode of Pod Bless Texas is brought to you by Represent Texas PAC. Represent Texas PAC is the official political action committee of Pod Bless Texas, where we help support Democrats that are fighting like hell in tough districts around the state of Texas. If you want to support the work that Represent Texas is doing, you can go to representtexaspac.org. There you can contribute and keep up to speed on the work that PAC is doing. The co-chairs of that PAC, myself and Lillian Salerno, would really appreciate it. So representtexaspac.org. You'll be supporting a lot of really good Dems doing a lot of really great work and the podcast. So go there. Okay, we're back.
We're going to go hit that PAC.
We all have to. You have to. I can't do anything if I don't raise any money into it. I have to tell you, we've been raising some decent money into it, especially when the podcast was cranking. We had tons of listeners, and we're slowly getting right back to that. Honestly, I've been really impressed by how our listeners have stuck with us. But, now that I'm finance chairman for the state party, I'm raising money for that, and I'm not raising money for Represent Texas. It's a bit of a challenge. But Lorenzo,
Yes.
I'm assuming you've been watching the news.
Yes.
Have you been watching the Paxton trial?
No. But I'm listening to some of it. I know what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Everybody, so we're recording today on Thursday, whatever day it is, Thursday the 14th. So everybody's still trying to make sense of yesterday, where the mistress of Ken Paxton, Laura Olson, did not take the stand. There was an agreement between prosecution and defense for her to not take the stand. No one really understands why. There's a lot of theories floating around. And you two, in kind of your law enforcement experiences, and like, I'm sure you've been in your share of courtrooms. Why would somebody like Laura Olson have so much to share, not share it?
Why she wouldn't share?
Mm-hmm.
One, someone can possibly implicate themselves in something that's going on, and they don't want to take the stand because once you're up there, everything you say can now be used.
Right.
So if you have an opportunity not to take the stand, that would maybe a better option. As a law enforcement officer, there are times even we don't.
Sure.
It's just better for us, especially if you have one of the officers who doesn't know when to shut up. You have officers who test a lie. So it's better to just, the story gets a little bit more elaborate every time they tell it. Something like that. And a really good defense attorney hears that and knows how to call that out. I am just happy coming from the point of view of a citizen that people are being held accountable for their actions.
Oh, yes.
That's what
Yes.
So it is, because there's just this whole pounding on my chest. Look at me, rich white guy. I can do what I want and
get away with it.
And nobody can tell me anything. And so the fact that people are being held, and this is an example of someone being held. Now, what's going to happen in the end, we don't know. But someone even having to go to court and being indicted for their actions is huge for justice.
Yeah.
As much as we hate to give kudos to the Republicans, I will literally have to give kudos to the Republicans that brought him into a situation where he has to face court.
Even though it's sad that it had to be about money.
Yes.
Yes.
And I guess that's the one. That's the one. Whatever way it was.
Yeah, right.
Whatever way it was. I'm just glad it's happening. And I understand that she was going to plead the fifth on every single question. Every single question that was going to be given to her, she was going to plead the fifth. So she was going to take a whole bunch of time to just say, I plead the fifth.
But to me, what that tells me is that, and I understand that
she
people
doesn't
plead
want
the fifth for different reasons. I get it. I've done depositions before and done it myself, right? I get it. But I'm saying it tells me for her to not even be willing to answer a single question, she knows how adjacent she was to criminal
Yes,
activity.
of course, it might implement her too. She's
not even interested in trying to help out. I mean, she's just completely. How did this man end up with his mistress and his wife both defending him?
That's what I keep. She's sitting there. That could be it.
I saw the pictures of that kitchen remodel. They ain't got that much money.
Oh, you did? I haven't seen that.
Well, some people have different priorities. Some people's
they
priority
didn't hire
is,
him.
Some people's priority is the kitchen, others is the closet. Yes. I'm in shoes. What are you guys?
Wow. Good one. Well, I'm just tickled that y'all came and joined today. Time's already flown, right? Can you believe we've already been talking for 30 minutes?
Have you been talking that long?
We've been talking for 30 minutes, but we're not done yet.
Because
before you go, you have to play everybody's favorite segment. It's called Obsessed. Obsessed, where each of us talk about one news story from the week, whether it's politics or it wasn't, that we've been completely obsessed with.
Oh, my.
And as a result, we're going to start with Lorenzo Buttram Hubbard.
Oh, my.
Lorenzo, what is something this week you've been completely obsessed with?
And it needs to be a news story?
No.
Okay.
When Betty Ritchie came on, she talked about her house flooding. You
Can I be
literally-
obsessed about two things?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, that's not
Because
fair.
one will be a news story and the other one is going to be something else.
Okay.
So my news story that I've been obsessed with is Tim Scott and the mystery hidden girlfriend.
So weird.
Well, first of all, as a gay man, many of us have had mystery hidden girlfriends. And we hid them very well for years. So we may never find her. Now, I'm not saying anything about his sexuality. I do not know this man. I am tired of everybody
Careful what
asking
you
me
say.
about. Yes.
You've just had a lot of experience with secret girlfriends.
I also had a lot of experience with people asking me if every straight man is gay. Like I am the poster child for who's gay and straight. I don't know this man's sexuality. I just say gay men have had a lot of experience with unable to find girlfriends, even though they exist on paper. Now they exist in pictures, but they exist in pictures, but they never show up.
Do you know what my head went to immediately whenever I saw that news story? It went to that Brady Bunch episode where Jan was talking about her boyfriend in class, George Glass. George Glass. This is that was exactly. Yeah, I've got a girlfriend. She's beautiful and a Christian woman, and she's wonderful.
Well,
Georgetta Glass.
Now I do think, being serious, I do think there is unfair expectations placed on men of color who are running for office or in office to have a female. Cory Booker, it was the same thing when he was single. Oh my God, is he gay? Is he gay? Is he straight? Is he gay? I don't think that's fair. This man, whatever his sexuality is, should be able to do his job without that being part of it. What he does in his private life is his business. I just think it's funny when someone says that somebody exists and then you can't find them, or no. That's the part that makes it hysterical for me.
Here's another unfairness. I don't like to give too much leeway to Republicans, but in fairness, I mean, if you're just dating someone and they're just like a girlfriend or a boyfriend, right? It's hard to bring them around your presidential campaign.
Yes.
You know, like it's one thing if you're married to them, but like another thing, like if you're dating them, you don't know if you're going to be married to them. Should you be bringing them around? Then
that should be your answer. None of your business.
Fair.
My private life is my private life. I don't know if this is who. I mean, it sounds better than we can't find them.
But as being a public official, there is no such thing as a private life.
That's true, because you are public.
There is no such thing as a private life. They're gonna look at everything, and then, and I'm okay with that. But there's no such thing as a private life.
What's in the water? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no.
What's in the water?
What's in the water in South Carolina for both of their U.S. senators to have mystery women, Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott?
I am happy to say I don't know. I have never been to South Carolina.
And I've never tasted their water.
I've never tasted the water.
You're telling me you've designed homes for the stars and heads of states, but never in South Carolina.
I've designed the house of the vice president of Nicaragua and have never been to South Carolina.
It's probably for the best. What's the second thing you had? You said you have two.
My second thing is the TV show Ballers.
Oh.
They just dropped a whole TV show Ballers on, and please, I'm going to say this. They dropped the whole TV show Ballers on Netflix all at one time, every season.
Oh.
Started watching it. Oh my God. So as a socialite, it is incredibly important for me to be everywhere all the time with everyone. If someone tells you they're a socialite and everybody looks like them and they're around the same people, that's not a socialite. That's just somebody with really nice shoes and a handbag. So
I'm out.
Lupe and I are over here not being socialites.
Yeah. So this show is filmed in Miami. Well, everywhere, Miami, LA, but mainly in Miami. But it just dives into the lives of NFL players and the owners and all of the stuff that's going on and how many people are using them and taking advantage of them. And I thought I was not going to enjoy the show. And it is so good. Now, first of all, looking at Dwayne Johnson every single episode is not hard either.
Like The Rock?
Yes, it's his show.
Isn't it? I've
Yes.
never even heard of it.
I haven't either. I'm going, what's
I had not
Ballers?
heard of it until it popped up on Netflix. Then I put it on my list. And I don't know whoever, all of you millions of people who follow me, and whoever told me to watch this show, thank you. But I can't remember who you are. I just remember being somewhere and somebody said, Lorenzo, have you started watching Ballers? And I was like, I added that to my list. And so I started watching it. I'm on, I want to say day 3, and I'm in season 4.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well,
Not to say I've never done the exact same thing.
I do have things to do.
Just not yesterday. No, that's a good obsess. So if we're looking for a show to watch, we need to watch Ballers, is what I'm hearing.
Not with your children, but it's
Okay.
definitely for adults. But it is a really good show. And if
Okay.
even you don't have to be someone who, because I'm a tennis player, but I like basketball players. Well, actually, I like Prescott. So he's a
football player.
He's a football player.
I don't know if he's a watcher. I have no idea if he's a watcher. Dak Prescott, if you're a Pod Bless Texas watcher.
Well, no, I like him as a football player, but I always tell people, because I'm single, and I always tell people I'm waiting for my Steph Curry. And they're like, but Steph Curry is married. I said, listen to my words. I'm waiting for my Steph Curry, not the Steph Curry.
So if Dak Prescott's watching, or a person named Steph Curry, you should call him.
Or Dwight Powell.
Okay, great.
Oh my goodness.
Good obsessed, Lorenzo Buttram
Well,
Hubbard.
I'm boring as all
Can
get
I have
out.
a life over here?
I am boring as all get out.
Yeah, we're going to do an after hours Pod Bless where it's just going to be a dating show.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
Is
single
it-
also, so we'll
that'll work
we'll
great
just
for
do-
both of us.
We'll just do what is it? Guess who's on the other side or whatever.
Are you single, or do you have an imaginary girlfriend somewhere that no one's seen?
Like
Tim
well,
Scott.
if there is an imaginary girlfriend, I haven't seen her either. So
Good obsessed, Lorenzo Buttram Hubbard. Good obsessed. Former Dallas County Sheriff
Oh
and
my
2018 Gubernatorial nominee Lupe Valdez. What's something this week you've been completely obsessed
oh
with?
my goodness, I'm going to be boring as all get out. And the reason I probably wouldn't want to watch that, because I'd want to fix it. I'd want to go and say, you're being abusive for these characters. Let's fix that. Let's not be abusive for them. Like, give them the money they deserve, and so I would.
You should have been a trial lawyer.
been.
Let's get them the money they deserve.
Well, no. Let's take care of them. Anyway, mine is boring as all get out. I have tried to do things to be kind to the earth.
Oh.
So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm capturing the rain, and using it, and going to use it for my lawns. I have a 2-story house. I'm blessed with a 2-story house, and an engineer told me once that on a normal rain I could get over 1,000 gallons of rain from the stuff that just gathers and comes down.
Yeah.
So of course I got obsessed with that. And I am working on a system. I'm having several people work with me on a system that will catch the rain, take it down underneath the ground, and put it in a tank, and then be able to use it on my lawn.
That's good. That's, it's hard to build those kinds of things, especially if you don't have a lot of knowledge on it. So you have to obsess over it.
Well, I don't have that much knowledge. I'm getting people to help me.
Okay.
One of the other things that we're doing on being kind to the earth is it seems that whenever there's construction, there's a lot of waste. Especially if you tear things down. There's bricks that they take out and throw out because they don't want to clean them. There's lumber that they take out and throw out. And guess what I'm doing? I'm taking on not everybody's, on mine, on my projects. The bricks that I asked the construction folks to please not take anything that could be reused or recycled. So they left the whole dumpster full of stuff. And so, and so I don't know if you can see it on this, but I've done several projects using the brick and the lumber, so so that it's reusable. So, and it actually turns out quite beautiful. So,
and you know what I think people who've never run for office don't understand is that when you do run for office and you're in the middle of the campaign, you have to have something in your life that's not political that you can kind of spend a little, even if it's just an hour a week. Like, you've got to be able to devote some brain space to something that's not political. And it looks like you found a good one.
and well, you can't see this too well, but well, you can see that, but
Oh yeah.
that's three
Those are all
different
recycled bricks.
three different projects.
It's this very, for listeners, it's like this really pretty kind of like garden barrier, and all the bricks are kind of mismatched, but they work. We'll ask the designer, do they work?
Let me see. Okay. This is interesting. I like it. I wouldn't put it at my house.
Well, that's because you have a very refined home. I've
Yes,
been to your home.
but I absolutely appreciate using the bricks that would normally be thrown away
In the
for something.
landfill.
Yes, I
In
would.
the landfill.
I mean, I appreciate someone's, because this is creative.
Yeah.
So, and now mind you, I can't see the rest of her house. So I'm just looking at a very small portion. And so once I saw everything, I might be like, wow, this is amazing. Now, I don't physically do anything, but you do you do physical stuff?
I do a lot of stuff,
Okay.
and I'm in
She's
pain
a
the next day.
They're very handy.
Yes, lesbians are very good friends to have. But yes, I do like this. But what's that behind it? Are those
Mint.
herbs? I was going to
Mint.
say that looks like mint. Okay.
It's mint.
Now,
I had this whole side of mint that I started and did it, and so it was getting overgrown, and I decided I was going to find something to stop the continual growth and just make it grow up.
okay.
I'm impressed that your yard's getting better, because with this heat, my yard is dead. Dead. I have 3 to 4 inch cracks running through my yard.
Collected water.
Oh, it's collected water. I should have collected the water. Why didn't I think to collect the water?
Yeah.
Good, obsessed Lupe Valdez.
Yeah, mine is still beautiful, but I also had a very, very high water bill to go with it.
That's a good obsessed. My obsessed this week is the city of Chandler, Texas, outside of Tyler. So there's been this push in, fascist counties across the state to try to regulate people's ability to transport themselves or others to get abortion care in other states. And what they're doing is regulating highway travel and saying you're not allowed to. It's completely unenforceable. There's no way for you to know. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, law enforcement in the room, do they even have a right? Like, they can ask me where I'm going, but I don't got to tell them, right?
No, well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. The answer, law enforcement doesn't have unless it is a juvenile or you're breaking some other law, you're doing something else wrong. You can't just stop a car randomly and say, where are you going?
Right.
And you have to have a cause to stop the car.
Right.
You can't just randomly go around
I suspect they're going to get an abortion.
Well,
it's outrageous. So for me, I think it's just a dumb policy. Not only is it just completely immoral and unethical and unenforceable, it's just stupid, right? Well, some moron on the city council in Chandler, Texas, decided to bring this proposal forward. And
I hope they get sued.
well,
Ooh,
here's
I didn't say that
here's
publicly.
what I'm obsessed about this week. It died. They brought it in this small ruby red town in East Texas, and women on that city council stood up against the one woman that brought it. And there was one man and 3 women who stood up, voted no, and killed it. I mean, it was so packed in that city hall, they had overflowed rooms. There were Democrats, active Democrats in East Texas that came from 6 different counties to come and testify and to advocate. And they put a ton of pressure on them and won.
There is hope in Texas.
That's right. There's a certain level of insanity that even like ruby red legislators won't cross. And I don't even know that those city council members are Democrats, so I'm not going to praise them too much, right? I don't know anything about them. I'm imagining they're probably pretty conservative folks who are like, I am not going to spend the limited tax dollars in a tiny little town like Chandler on litigation over a completely unenforceable and ridiculous law. And I have been obsessed with the bravery of those city council members, because as someone from a really small town in East Texas, I know that they're getting, burning crosses on their front yards right now. I mean, like, people are coming after them, I'm sure. It was really brave, but it was the right thing to do morally. It was the right thing to do fiscally. They stood up and they did it. And I've been completely obsessed with that all week.
Now, I can tell you, this is something that has bothered me all along. I couldn't understand somebody being pro-life. I'm doing air quotes because so many people who are pro-life are also pro-death penalty. So I have a problem with that. I will not understand a woman, be she Republican, Democrat, Independent, giving up control of her body to anybody. I don't understand that. Not after women have fought so hard, no matter what political party they're a part of, to have control and independence from men, to be able to have a voice. It makes no sense to me. So I think when you hear about something like this happening, it's hope. There's hope. Hope lives. Women are saying, I understand my political party, but I'm not giving up control.
It's a line I'm not about to cross.
Yes, I'm not. I'm not giving up control of my body to someone else, and it's usually an old white man.
Yeah. Well, that's what I have been completely obsessed with. And that was Obsessed. So I guess, Lorenzo,
yes.
Does that mean that you will go and give a Yelp review to the Chandler City Hall?
Oh, my goodness. No. I would if I were there.
Lupe, you may not know this, but Lorenzo, and our listeners may not know this, has over 1 million views on his Yelp and Google reviews.
8 million.
8.
Views.
Okay.
8 million.
He's a prolific reviewer.
Yeah, I'm huge when it comes to reviewing. But I don't, what makes I write very thorough reviews. What makes me even more interesting probably as a reviewer, but from the perspective of the fact that I'm a designer. So I design nightclubs and bars and restaurants. And so when I'm writing about it, I'm writing about it from the perspective of an insider. But I don't write negative reviews. If I can't give you a 4 or 5 star, I'm not going to write the review. I'm not going to use energy from my body and my mind to do or write something negative. So if there is a negative review,
like it.
Yeah. So if there's a negative review there, it's because they really did something. And I'm sharing exactly what it was. Like, I have one place I gave 3 stars, but it has over 100,000 views. And people agree with exactly what I said.
Well, that also lets me know that if there's a place in East Dallas that doesn't have a review from Lorenzo.
Well, every place. I'm invited to everything that opens. So, every new restaurant, every club, every speakeasy, every hotel, I'm invited to all of them. I will probably get 12, 13, 14 invites a week. I might make 10 or 9, and then I'll write 2 reviews. So that means out of 10 places, only 2 or 3 maybe received or rose to the level of a 4 or 5 star for me.
That's intense.
Yeah. But now what's hysterical is when I go places that I've done a review for, even sometimes when I go a place that I have not, and somebody is sitting next to me and they'll either say, you're everywhere. Like, I'll pull up Google and every single place that I pull up, you're the cover page, or they think that I was fake. So they're sitting next to me like, wait,
you're a bit of a caricature.
They're like, you really exist. Like, you're a real person. Yeah.
So Lorenzo Buttram Hubbard, the gay socialite, the Dallas socialite, the Brickell socialite, the $1 million decorator alumnus. If folks wanted to follow you and keep track of your Yelp reviews, your design work, your political opinions, where could they go to do that?
A lot of places. So not my house. They can. So options are on Instagram. I'm Lorenzo Buttram Hubbard. And it's Buttram spelled like Buttram, I know, but it's Buttram.
Oh my God.
It's a sophisticated pronunciation of the word. If people are a little older and all you have is Facebook, Lorenzo Hubbard. My website is Lawrence Hubbard Designs. So just put in Lawrence Hubbard Designs. Actually, you could just put in Lorenzo Buttram Hubbard anywhere and I pop up because I'm Googleable. And then I am. And then on Google, it's Lorenzo Hubbard Designs. And then the same thing on Yelp.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And follow me.
It's a lot to follow.
Yeah, and they can hire me too. Like if you have like really, please, because this is something that I get into the most intense discussions with people about Dallas becoming or being a cosmopolitan city.
Okay.
It's not there yet, but it's on its way. It is a major metropolitan city, but cosmopolitan and major metropolitan are different. And one of the things that, as a designer, is I don't appreciate businesses that continuously take in money from their clients and then give nothing back, meaning don't do improvements, don't fix the place up.
Sure.
This is a warning to all small business owners or bars or restaurants that are doing that. Big boys are coming to town and they're going to take your clients. So if you think that you're going to have another 5 or 10 years of not making your place look better than it does, it's not going to work because there are too many new things and options for people now that look amazing and charge the same amount of money.
Well, that's a nice free little nugget of advice.
I'm telling you.
Sheriff Lupe Valdez.
Yes, sir.
If
Yes,
people
sir.
wanted to follow your campaign, if they wanted to help you out, if they wanted to keep track of you, where are they going to get that accomplished?
Well, I'm not going to give as many names as Lorenzo did because I want them to go to my website, lupevaldez.com. You can hire him and donate to me.
What? Well, okay. I do want you to know that how about hire me, I'll donate to her, and then you can donate to her too.
I like that one even better.
Yeah.
and just for folks watching, your election is a Democratic primary election.
Primary, yes.
And so filing for that starts in November, ends in December, and you'll be on the ballot the first Tuesday in March, correct?
Correct. And the 2 last weeks in February for early voting.
Okay.
So
Good work. Well, we're
let's
excited
do
to have you
it.
back, and I really appreciate you coming through.
Let's do it.
Lupe and I spent a lot of time together in 2018 when I was
Mhm.
running for Senate, and it's good to see you. I hadn't seen you, and I'm glad to see you back in the fight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
And if folks
And
want
meeting Lorenzo.
Oh my God, you're so sweet.
worth it,
It'll be fun to have a friend that's the sheriff.
and
But no privileges.
I
No
won't need.
privileges.
Yeah, I won't need any because that means I'm in jail.
well, if folks wanted to follow me, they can follow me on all the social medias at Kendall Scudder. You can follow this podcast on all the social medias at Kendall Scudder. Some people, actually, the vast 85% of our listeners, you know that they're actually listeners and not viewers. We get a bunch of views, or sometimes we get more than others on social media, but they're all listeners. If you're a listener and you didn't know, you can actually watch this podcast on social media. And if you're watching on social media, you can actually listen to this podcast in your podcast store. And while you're in that podcast store, give us a 5-star review. You can follow the podcast at Pablo's Texas, www.pablostexas.com. You can become a patron and help me pay for this big fancy studio. Any closing thoughts from the team?
Lupe?
Keep it positive, and I'm running for election.
You're either going to be a part of the problem or a part of the solution. I choose to be a part of the solution. Lorenzo Buttram Hubbard.
Well, you heard those words of great, profound wisdom here first. On behalf of myself, our team, Lorenzo, Lupe, the entire Pod Bless Texas fam, y'all have a blessed week. We'll see you next week.
All right.